Welcome, Cincinnati Bengals fans, back to Running Through the Jungle with our roaring reactions and Coach's Cliff Notes, the last one of the season. And I am here with my co-host, Tim Lyons. Tim, what's going on out in the Northwest, in the great Northwest?
Yeah, it's just raining, gray skies, squishy grounds, the same old. And I know the Seahawks fans are sitting here hoping for a win. Yep, just same old.
All right, well, I'm your host, Brandon Harriet. We are missing a couple of the Kimosabis. Mr. Lacey had to go check on some fam, and Chase Younts is MIA. So, he's probably getting himself moved back into Cincinnati. I think his break's over and whatnot. So, yeah, a lot going on there. So, without further ado, finale for Paycor Stadium on the season finale. Bengals 31, Browns 14, Browns JV team 14. Let's not go out act like we went out there and rolled up on Myles Garrett and all the boys, because we did not. That said, there were some good things to take away from this game. I did like to see that they got some of the youngsters some work. I was surprised we didn't see more Trey Hendrickson. I know he's been nursing some injuries and whatnot, so maybe that's the reason why. But he finishes the game with a half sack, so 17 and a half sacks, a sack and a half behind TJ Watt for the league as of right now. Disappointed in that. What were your thoughts on the game, Tim?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I missed part of the first quarter. I was out shopping with the wife, so. But I did come back and I saw that Jake threw an interception and Driscoll threw an interception. And then when I came back, Mixon takes it into the end zone for a rushing touchdown. I was like, well, that's all it took was me to watch the damn game, watch him run the ball, and there we go.
Yeah, run the ball they did.
Yeah, and they run the ball. Mixon, he ran for 111 yards. He had a receiving touchdown as well. I'm not going to be like, we're a playoff contender here because, one, we're out of the playoffs, and two, we're playing against the Browns JV team. So, but it was still nice to see that Mixon got his 1,000 yards rushing on the year, got 2 touchdowns. It's kind of a little bit of a hint for my game ball, of the game, but the defense played really well. It was nice to see Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle had a pick and he had a sack and he had a couple tackles for losses. They played fairly well against the Browns. Hey, we ended off in a winning season, so that's great. I'm happy.
Yeah, Mixon saved his first 100-yard rushing performance for game number 17.
Yeah.
Yep. How about it? But he did get his 1,000. Jamar Chase got his 100th catch.
Yep.
I believe he ended right at 100.
Yeah.
Some other highlights from the game. Yoshi had 2 touchdowns, but he also had 3 drops. I think it was
2 drops.
2 drops. I'm gonna call the third one on the sideline where he got hit going out of bounds. I'm gonna call that a drop instead of a breakup. Yeah. I think he should have caught the ball. Anyway, Charlie Jones sighting. Hey.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good. Got a first down on end around, 3 catches for 49 yards.
49. Yep.
Osai, I thought looked pretty good. Looked very athletic, did well on some stunts, a couple different stunts that he ran, and then had the hit the quarterback's elbow, hit Driscoll's elbow, causing one of the interceptions. So that was nice to see. Now, my question with Osai, because has always been this, he's supposed to have this upside coming out of Texas, got through the injuries, did this, did that, whatever. Do you think Joseph Osai is now the defensive equivalent of our Chris Evans, where we see flashes when he gets to play, and for whatever reason, he doesn't play any meaningful snaps?
That's been my question all season long is where has Osai been? What's up with Osai? I know he had his injuries and stuff like that. And then they finally started, decided to play him today against the Browns. And, I think he is like our Chris Evans. He's a flash in the pan when he's there, but then he has his down moments. What's the future holding for Osai? We don't know, but yeah, just like you said, he's kind of like the Chris Evans of the defense. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's really strange to me sometimes how he just disappears.
Yeah,
don't put him in.
Yeah.
Especially when we've lacked so much in pass rush defense. So I don't know. I thought obviously we're not going against the number ones. Miles Murphy, I think, continues to improve and show he's strong.
Yeah.
Strong like bull.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I think he could do some. I think he can make some noise going into year 2. Logan Wilson got another pick. That was good to see. So he ended with 4 on the year. Great for a linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know one of our biggest questions with Miles Murphy has been, was he worth the first round draft pick? So hopefully we'll see that pay off next year.
Yeah, he's definitely got a good upside. He's but he needs to put it all together, and he needs to get some more time. I'm surprised. You really don't see him rotating around more. I'm surprised that we didn't see maybe him on the left more with Hendrickson on the right during pass third downs and passing downs and whatnot. And then maybe even we talked about earlier in the year where we see maybe Hubbard slide inside on passing downs. We didn't see any of that this year, and that may be because he's not used to rushing from the other side. Maybe he doesn't have those moves. That's something that if he does over the offseason, I would love to see him, Miles Murphy and Trey Hendrickson be able to be interchangeable, movable pieces where they maybe one goes inside, one goes out. How about one at right guard, one at right end? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's putting some pressure on our defense.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we didn't see all year long with Hendrickson. Hendrickson really didn't move at all. I remember seeing Hubbard moving a little bit. He'd move inside, but he'd play back off the line. I'm guessing he was doing a quarterback spy or something to that effect. But other than that, they always kept Hendrickson, stationary at his right end position. So, I don't understand why they didn't change it up or, make some kind of because, when you're going against the same left tackle over and over again, you can either wear them down or they'll start double teaming you, or the left tackle will just finally figure you out.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson had his best year, his most sacks anyway, in his career, and since he's come to the Bengals, he's led the league in pass rush and his win percentage. So in pressures, that is. So he's been a great player for us. I with the addition of Miles Murphy, I think I'd like to see a little bit more exotic thing. And who knows? Maybe we'll see that next year. Maybe that'll be post Lou Anarumo. We don't know. So there's a lot of things to talk about in the off season. We're going to continue to talk about NFL football and the playoffs and what we've seen and pictures of that sort. Probably mention a couple things on the way out the door here, but I do want to do the coach's cliff notes part of this. I know you had some stuff going on and didn't get to watch, didn't get to listen to it all. But again, to no one's surprise, Coach Zach, very vanilla. Not a whole lot to dissect from it. Obviously he was happy with the effort. He did make that. And he also mentioned he was happy with the effort of the fans. He made a joke about sitting in the, in the upper deck. And he said, I don't know if that'd be me, but there were people up there cheering and we appreciate it. They showed up pretty strong for the season finale, even though there was nothing on the line, and supported the team. And he said, our fans have been great since I've been here. And in 2024, we need to get back to championship football, which is what they deserve.
Yeah.
That's about the most, say it with a chest moment you see with Zach. So I was happy with that. I don't think there's really anything you can dissect out of that. Jake Browning, they talked to him about the opportunities this season and how he got off to a really great start. He played really well for the most part. Going out with this last win, how'd you feel? Felt good coming off. Jake said, he goes, obviously you feel good. The bell goes off. You win the game. You feel good. You say your goodbyes to everybody. And he goes, and as soon as I turned to walk out, immediate disappointment hit me. Because all I could think about were those 3 games that I lost and what I could have done. And he goes, I could have played better in all 3 of those games. I could have won one of those games. And he goes, and then we're so close to the playoffs. If we win one of those games, we're in. I like that from him, man. I like that.
Yeah.
They always say a great poker player never forgets his big wins, but always forgets it, or always never remembers his big wins, but always remembers his bad beats. And I feel like that's what you gotta be in order to be excellent. Like that bitterness of a loss has to stick with you and drive you to play better and to never want that feeling again. I think Jake Browning's carved out a little niche for himself and is going to have an opportunity in this league. What are your takes on how Jake Browning did this year and how his attitude was?
I think he had a great attitude. He was he was Joe Burrow's backup. Like I've been saying ever since he started starting. Jake's not Joe. Nobody's Joe, but he stepped up when he needed to step up. Yeah, he had some disappointing losses. I know I was hard on him too because I'm here in Washington. Jake went to UW here in Washington, and a lot of people locally are like, "Oh, what do you think of Jake Browning?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's a good quarterback." And then I'm like, "Oh, he's, So, but his personality, he is I won't say a serious guy, but there's a part to him where he takes everything to heart. And, and that is too bad that, we couldn't win against the Steelers and the Chiefs. Nobody likes to lose against the Steelers, especially in the AFC North. I don't like the Steelers. I was rooting for them to lose yesterday, and I was rooting for the Jaguars to win today. But, unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbled. So, but anyways, Jake, I think he's going to be a great backup for Joe next year because I don't see him going anywhere. We got that restricted free agent exclusive free agent on him to where the Bengals can offer him league minimum for another year and he's got to take it, or, is the Bengals going to trade him or let him walk? Who knows? But I think they'd be smart to assign him to another year at least. To see what else we can get from him if he's needed again. Knock on wood. But it's been a season that we had high expectations. It's something we've discussed before, and unfortunately we came up short in the end. Losing 5 games in the AFC North really hurt us bad. But there's next year. Let's hope for some re-signings, some free agent signings, a good draft, and see where we go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you alluded to some of the AFC teams playing for the playoffs today. I want to get into that real quick. But before we do, we got to pay some bills. So it's that time where we're going to take a quick break. This is going to be a little bit of a short one with just me and Tim on here in the season finale and not going into the playoffs, so on and so forth. So while you got a chance, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, get those notifications, share us with a friend. It's the only way to build this thing up, especially going into the off season, is we depend on you to help on top of what we do as far as marketing and things like that. It's really you guys that build that thing from the ground up, and we appreciate everybody's support. So do that for us while we have a second. Give us those 5-star reviews, and we will be right back in one momento. All right, welcome back, Bengals fans. Roaring Rations coach's cliff notes. We've given you the kind of the rundown. I don't like to go through drive by drive, quarter by quarter. I've listened to all that kind of stuff out there. Not my shtick. We're going to give you good, pertinent information here on the Running Through the Jungle channel as much as we can. And we're not going to give you a bunch of fluff and BS just to put some time on the clock.
Right.
Coach's cliff notes, pretty boring as normal. I want to talk about some of these AFC teams. We talked about at the beginning of the year, I picked 3 teams from the AFC North to go to the playoffs, and I was right. I did not think that we would be sitting at home. I also didn't think Joe Burrow would be in a sling. So, again, I think the toughest division of football. I think we show that time and time again. Right now, I don't know how you can't have the Baltimore Ravens as the favorite in the Super Bowl race, and honestly, I didn't think they were better than us.
Right.
So we played them when Joe Burrow was still hurt, nursing that calf, and should have won that game. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait. I can't wait till next year. I can't wait to see how these pieces fall. But the Steelers, to their credit, again, another winning season and somehow sneak their way into the playoffs. I live in Pittsburgh, and I can tell you from recent history, if they lose in the first round of the playoffs again, the whole city will come unglued again, and it's very interesting to watch. They want Tomlin's head every time he loses that first one in the playoffs. And he hasn't won very many playoff games recently, so
is it like 1-4?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, could get interesting. But the team that I really, I see a lot of similarities in the way they finished and the way we started. Mm-hmm. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. After week 12, they were 8-3 and sitting in the first seed in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah.
And then a guy named Jake Browning walks in to Duval County and takes them to overtime and wins 34-31. Mm-hmm. And that started a 5 out of 6 losses for the remainder of the season, including that one starting a 4-game skid. They were able to beat the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Man, what the mighty have fallen there, really, and bad. And I look at it, and the reason why I see similarities, the way they finished, the way we started. At 8-3, going into our game, Travis Etienne was in the top 5 rushing yards in the league.
Yeah.
And then they quit running the ball. Now, rather he's banged up, Tank Bigsby got a little nicked. I don't know what it is, but you got to continue to run the ball. You got to continue to be balanced. We talk about all the time. Do you see similarities? I mean, they've got good wide receivers. We got good wide receivers. I think Ingram was really close to that's a difference. One of their good wide receivers is tight end. Ingram was at 114 when I last saw, chasing 117 in the all-time record for tight ends. Oh. Do you see similarities there, or what's your thoughts on them and just not running the ball?
Yeah, you do kind of see their similarities. Their defense is kind of a bend don't break kind of defense. They got a good running back. It's like, how can you stop the bus in the middle of the track and expect things to go the way they do? You can't. I know Trevor Lawrence was hurt. Part of the season too, and he came back this week, and it's like, I know you're playing against the Titans today, and the Titans, they have a hell of a rush defense or a hell of a pass defense, and they'll come at you with 7 guys, and they don't care. So when you're sitting back and shocked, like we see it all year long, pretty much when you're sitting back in shotgun formations and trying to run the ball or trying to pass every down, it comes to the same result's going to happen. You can keep doing the same thing and the same result. That's insanity. The same thing is going to keep happening. So, yeah, I do see the similarities. And unfortunately for them, they just let that run right down they just pissed down their leg, and they just lost their season right at the end. All they had to do was win one game against the Titans, and the Titans weren't giving up. This is Derrick Henry's possible last game with the Titans, possibility. And Tannehill was back out there as quarterback. There was no Will Levis. It's like they just stalled. So yeah, I agree with you. Jacksonville's like, I won't say a mirror image of the Bengals, but kind of is. When we got Mixon, and our run game issues that happened. One day we're running for 20 plus yard or 20 plus attempts. Next we're only, rushing for 8. So yeah, I do agree upon you. They're kind of a spitting image of each other.
Yeah, I think they're very similar. I think obviously when healthy, Joe Burrow's the biggest difference there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they've got good receivers where ours may be great.
Yeah.
So that gives us the edge there. On to another one. With their loss, the Houston Texans go from the bottom of the barrel to the top and win the AFC South. I really think that solidifies who I've been saying, D'Amico Ryan's coach of the year for the past few weeks. And I think that solidifies him, man. I think you got to give him the nod on that. Now, the offensive rookie of the year, you got a little bit of a push here, right? CJ Stroud threw for over 4,000 yards. Andrew Luck has the rookie record for 4,374 yards.
Right.
I think Stroud was like 260, 270 behind him, and that's missing 2 games.
Yeah.
He would have smashed that record, dude.
As you know, I'm not an OSU quarterback fan. I give these Ohio State fans crap all the time.
I said last year going into the draft, they finally had a quarterback come out. They've had a great punter come out that played quarterback for them. They've had a great running back playing quarterback for them. They haven't had, I think he's the first, the true passer. Just feels athletic, electrifying. I don't think he's the quarterback CJ Stroud is.
No. Yeah, and like I told you, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 weeks ago, I think it was about 6 or 7 weeks ago when we played Houston and we got beat by Houston. I told you, I put foot in mouth about CJ Stroud, and he's going to have a great career. He's going to have a great career as a quarterback as long as he stays healthy, and I'm happy for him. I'm hoping that he gets rookie of the year. It's going to be, I think it's between him and what's his name? Nuka, the wide receiver out of the Rams.
Nuka Nakua, that was the other person I was going to mention. Broke Jamar Chase's rookie receiving record.
Yep, I think it's going to come down to them too.
So that's definitely going to be a tight race. It's going to be interesting to see. And I think with both of those, if Seattle doesn't make the playoffs or Houston doesn't make the playoffs, that may affect it and swing it to one or the other. Both of them making it, both of them having great years. Do you go with someone who broke the record, or you go with the most important position on the football field? I think that's what it comes down to. Then you have the Browns at 5. That was sewed up. So the Bills are at 6, the Dolphins are at 2, and the Steelers are at 7 right now. The way it's playing out. But that's all could shuffle depending on what happens here between the Dolphins and the Bills.
Right.
But either way, they're all in. Everybody else has 9 wins. So those teams are all in. That's our 7. There could be a shuffle up there depending on who wins. Now,
right.
I'm looking at these teams. Boy, I sure as heck would want to be in that 2 spot. I'd rather play I mean, the Steelers are either going to play the Dolphins or the Chiefs. They would much rather have the Dolphins lose and play the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, I think so, because the Chiefs are having
the
problems.
Steelers are all Bills fans right now.
Yeah. It's. We'll see how it all plays off. But didn't they say the Browns will play the Texans right now?
Yeah, that's sewed up. That's not changing.
Okay, so the Browns are going to play the Texans.
Yeah.
And then it all depends on who the Chiefs or the Bills or the Dolphins or the Steelers, who they're going to play.
Correct. Now the Browns, they played the Texans already.
Right.
And they won that game pretty handily, 36-22. And that was only a few weeks ago. But it's also one of the games Case Keenum started.
And not CJ.
And not CJ Stroud. So not going to be playing the same team, right?
Right.
So it's going to be interesting how that rematch. They played them in Texas. They're going to have to go to Cleveland now, and it's going to be terrible weather.
Yes.
So, it's going to be interesting. No, they go back to Houston. No, they go back to Houston. Houston's 4.
Yeah, because the Texans won the division.
They won the division.
Yeah, the Browns are going to Texas,
even though they have a better record. Very interesting the way this work out. But yeah, so they'll go back to Houston. Man, that's going to be a track meet.
It's going to be loud.
Elijah Moore probably still he's out for the season, I believe.
I believe so too.
I don't know, man. That's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be a good one. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about with the playoff scene or any of those kind of things in NFL football in general?
I want to congratulate all the playoff teams and good job. Steelers snuck in there, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But the AFC North is going to be represented by three AFC North teams. And I know I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick with it now, the AFC wins the Super Bowl. Who day?
I'll tell you, I keep saying that. And I said that a couple of years ago, I said that the AFC will run 3 straight. And everybody told me I was crazy, yada, yada, yada. And I just keep seeing these young quarterbacks that come up in the AFC. Man, CJ Stroud's the next one. I don't see as good a quarterbacks coming up in the NFC right now. I think when you run down the list of top quarterbacks, you go Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And I mean, when do you get to the NFC? I mean, where Hurts was there for a while, but man, he's finished poorly.
He's dropped. Yeah.
I mean, where you get to an NFC quarterback around what, 8?
Yeah, I'd say 7 or 8.
Area?
7 or 8, yeah.
I think it's a gauntlet going through the AFC now, and I think really when you get to the playoffs, the quarterback, those teams are all going to play a little bit tighter normally because they're all good teams. So the scores are going to be closer. And then you get to who's that clutch quarterback that can pull that game off. I really think that's the key when you're in those playoffs. That's the reason why I take the AFC.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no more playoff picture talk right now. We'll have more of that for you on Wednesday night. We'll have Running Through the Jungle up on YouTube. On Thursday, we'll have it up for your drive time on all your Spotify and Apple and Google podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So check some more of that stuff out there. We'll have, I'm sure Mr. Lacey will want to give his 2 cents about the game. Probably talk a little bit about Tyler Boyd. Maybe playing his last game for the Bengals. Man, I thought he had a 70-yard touchdown.
And he dropped it.
I thought he was going to go out with that. I was like, yeah. On a free play, offside free play. I thought he had a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you going to do? Well, hey, it's just me and you. offensive and defensive game balls, and I think this might be a pretty easy pick for both of them in my mind. But we'll let you go first, and you let me know what you think.
Well, as you know, my offensive game ball is going to go to Joe Mixon. I've been riding Joe Mixon pretty much all year long, and I preach run the damn ball. He ran the damn ball for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. My game ball, with no doubt. With my defensive game ball, it's going to go with Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle had a sack, a couple tackles for a loss, an interception, pass deflection. He was just balling out today. So those are my game balls for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with Joe Mixon. Again, almost 8 yards a carry, only 14 carries, 111 yards. They did give Chase Brown some carries. He got 43 yards, averaging about 4 yards a carry. 7.9 yards carry, though, for Mixon. Mixon finishes with a touchdown receiving and rushing. Easy offensive game ball to me. I don't even really have an honorable mention there for the game ball. Defensively, I'll give an honorable mention with 5 tackles and an interception. Logan Wilson, I'll give him an honorable mention. But I think, again, Battle looked more comfortable out there. Maybe not as threatened by somebody going deep. It might have been a little bit more interesting had the starters played, but he played really well. Sack, interception, I think it's Jordan Battle. So clean sweep for me too, Tim. Clean sweep. So what are your final thoughts about the season, man? What do you got to say about the 2023 Cincinnati Bengals?
Could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot worse. But am I happy about it? No, but we did end up in a winning season. So, there's 3 winning seasons in a row for Zach Taylor. But we're not going to start. That's not a tradition. That's tradition that another AFC North team does. They're praising their coach on consecutive winning seasons. But it could have been worse. Unfortunately, we lost Joe. Joe played hurt. We lost DJ Reader. And all I want to say is, if we don't re-sign Boyd, Reader, Awuzie, T. Higgins, those guys are going to be missed. They are. They're going to be missed, especially Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, for me personally, is like when AJ Green when AJ Green left Cincinnati. Tyler Boyd is kind of like that same thing for me. He has had a hell of a career here in Cincinnati, and he will be missed if he's not re-signed. Here's to next year, and here's to the off season, and see what the Bengals do, and looking forward to see what kind of content that we push out for everybody. I just want to say thank you, everybody, again, for supporting our Running Through the Jungle. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting me onto the show as a guest long time ago, and here I am as a normal guest. I appreciate you, and I love you, brother, and hooday.
Love right back at you. You know that from knee-high to a grasshopper. Tyler Boyd, it'll be interesting what's available this offseason to him as far as is there a team out there looking for that veteran presence?
Right.
I don't think he's going to leave and go and chase money without going to another situation where he can play for a contender. I don't think he wants to go play. I don't think he's just going to chase the bag to the point. I mean, he's made $10 million a year, so I don't think he's going to go chase the bag to the point where you see him go, play for whoever, the Carolina Panthers for $8 million instead of coming back to us for $6 million. I don't see him doing that. I could be wrong, but that's the way I feel. Kind of cool that he got his 6,000 yards. Eke that in. That was pretty cool for his career with us. So if he does go, he's got that, hang his hat on. And he's been a great player. Stand-up dude. Went a long time without having drops at all. And then all of a sudden over the past couple of years, we've seen him a little bit. But I would love to have him back. I would sum up this year with adversity would be the word I would think of. Adversity with Joe Burrow not having a training camp again, and then having that strained calf, getting off to a slow start, putting ourselves behind the 8 ball again. Then, more adversity with DJ Reader going down, more adversity with Joe going down again for a second time, season-ending injury. But that whole time they fought, our defense, I think, all year wasn't what I thought it should be. Had some glimpses from the safeties. Safeties didn't play as well as they should. We had Brian Robinson, our putter, out of Michigan. Lower average than what he had in college. And I think a little bit that you can point to. I know it was a focus going into this year to have more hang time and not have more punt returns. And he did a good job with that. But now we've got to find that sweet spot. He's got to hit some better punts. He's got to have a little higher average without sacrificing that hang time and that return average. All things I think we could do, right? All things I think we can build to. Now we have a different adversity. We set ourselves up right now. We have the 5th best cap space going into the offseason, but there's a lot of people out there that need paid. I'm not going to overreact this offseason. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm not going to overreact to the Bengals offseason this year. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because the Duke has earned that for me.
True.
I'm gonna let him do his thing. I'm going to give my opinion about it. I'm going to give my opinion about what I think we should do, what we shouldn't do. I'm not going to overreact when one chess piece moves. I'm going to wait until all the chess pieces are moved around to really sink into what the totality looks like, because I don't think you can just jump to a conclusion without seeing the rest of the chess pieces, because this front office has proven that there's always another move coming or something going on. They've proven that they can get the Mike Hiltons of the world, the DJ Readers of the world, the Orlando Brown Juniors of the world to come here and play in Cincinnati for a little bit less money.
Yeah.
A lot of Joe Burrow influence there, a lot of Duke Tobin influence there. So I appreciate those things. I'm gonna let this one ride out like that. So that's my final thoughts for the season. And I'm hoping all of our Bengals listeners out there, all of our fans, can ride with me on that one. Let's not knee-jerk reaction, and let's not torch social media just because of one move. Let's wait and see what happens. Let's just wait and see what happens. There may be a thought process behind it, but there's a lot of free agents that we're going to have to replace. That said, I think, Cincinnati is a little sexier place to come play than it used to be. Thank you, Mr. Burrow. So, for all that said, I'm your host, Brandon Harriet, with your host, Tim Lyons. Thank you again, Tim. Appreciate having you on here. We will be back, like I said, Wednesday and Thursday with Running Through the Jungle. Might have some quips in there. We'll definitely still be doing pay dirt. We'll definitely still be talking about some things. So come check us out. Rock with us every week. And we are going to be done with the roaring reactions for the year. It's a sad day. So, Houday, check us out during the week. Run It Through the Jungle. Thank you, fam.